Hey, other news, because you talked about Mascherano, Bryce, and I'm sitting here being like, man, New England are really supporting Caleb Porter. New head coach for Vancouver, Jesper Sorenson. Now, I will say, exciting not to see an MLS retread, because too often it's like a head coaching vacancy comes up and it'll be like, oh yeah, Vanni Sartini has left Vancouver. Yeah, Gio Savarese, who, was the Portland Timbers coach ages ago and leading candidate for it. It's like, if he didn't work out like ultimately in Portland, right? Why are you taking a guy and being like, well, he's gonna work here? So I appreciate them trying new things, new names, looking for different input, different ideas. We'll see how this goes for them. I For the record, I don't think the coaching was the issue in Vancouver.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it sounded like the other choices were Savarese or Rob Valentino. They were the two other guys that were in. And if you let go of Sartini, I would take Sartini over both of those coaches. So, like, if that was the hire, then, you know, you can tell Vancouver that those owners are ready to sell because they didn't really take the head coaching pool seriously. Sorenson's interesting. He's only coached in Denmark his whole career, mainly at Brøndby, which is one of the biggest clubs in Denmark. So you're expected to win, and he did some winning. It sounds like they wanted to go for the win now approach because they believe their roster is win now. It's questionable. They don't really have avenues to make their roster better unless they start getting rid of players. But they think Sorensen's going to help elevate it more than Sartini is. He usually plays like a 3-4-2-1, I see. So that's an interesting build. I think they need another attacking option in their mix, not just one, maybe two. You lose Fafa in the off season. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes with him and Melberg. Like, I don't really know too much about these guys, so I guess they'll have to show it on the pitch.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what the attacking situation looks like for Vancouver, because Brian White is not going to do it for you. Like, you got Ryan Gauld. That's
I feel like you've seen enough out of that attacking core to say it's time to try something new. And I think Gauld
yeah,
is a great guy, but if you're not going to build anything new by the time Ryan Gauld starts to get out of his peak form, then you're going to have to restart. So you might as well try to restart when you have one piece already figured out. So um, when Gauld's on, he's on, but Brian White is it's just not in. And with this whole
he,
cash for players thing, with Messi coming to the league, teams like Vancouver are going to be left behind a lot easier if they don't start to. I feel like nowadays the moves for like Luis Muriel are like median level moves, and I feel like Vancouver are way below that in terms of the talent they're bringing in terms of resume and fee. So I'm not really excited about Vancouver this season.
Yeah, they
I,
don't. They don't. It doesn't feel like they have the necessary ambition to go in and win. Like talking about win now, when you just talked about the attack. The attack isn't good enough. It really isn't. Like Gald, he's a good player, but he's not a I'm gonna go win you the MLS Cup good player. He's just not. And so he needs some support up there and a really good striker. Brian White, he's all right. He's streaky. You know, he'll score you a hat trick and then he won't score for 7 games or something like that. And then, maybe the tactics will change and they'll through Sorensen and they'll be amazing, but I really doubt it. They do need to start bringing in some talent, but what talent wants to go to Vancouver? What from an ownership perspective to a location perspective? I mean, it doesn't feel like Vancouver are ever in the next 5 years going to gain the necessary talent to go and push to try and win the league. It feels like they need to go on a run and they need to get a hot streak, kind of like what New York Red Bulls did this past season. It just doesn't feel like they're just going to acquire talent and go and steamroll the league, unfortunately.
The ownership, when they listed the team for sale, said we want to keep this club in Vancouver. You know, we're hosting, we're an MLS, not MLS, we're a World Cup site host in 2026. Unless they're really bringing money in where you're going to overpay to really sell to come to Vancouver, I'm still skeptical the team's going to stay in Vancouver. I think there's a
Mm.
lot of markets that they could take the 30th MLS club and move to and make it an attractive site to grow the league more than Vancouver.
Oh,
And
I didn't even consider that.
I feel for the Vancouver fans because I would never. I know plenty of Atlanta fans that are mad about losing their NHL franchise twice, and it's not easy if you're the fan of the sport and you're there. But you know, maybe they'll convince Ryan Reynolds to. He's a Vancouver native. Maybe he can bring that. But outside of that, I really don't know what the future looks like for Vancouver.